Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Usually Fixing and Tinkering, and this time we are looking at Nick's George, the CL, the famous CL, the most famous CL in the Ford Focus Preservation Club, and that car is certainly coming down the line. It's getting better. People are noticing the changes on that car with every single meeting we have, and even though this video probably will go out a few weeks from when I film it, because I have that many videos that need to come out, including some rather disappointing ones that may have already been shown. This is the day after the last and final meet of the year. The third and final meet at the Classic Motor Hub. I hope you enjoyed that video when it was actually presented on the day. I always make an effort to actually reveal the videos almost immediately after the show, just for the benefit of my members. But this video takes place probably a couple of weeks after for that. But for you, that is. For me, it's the day after. So that was yesterday. Both me and Nick are quite shattered from all the organising and everything in between, and we've now got to get on top of another job, and that's the timing belt on this car. It is the one thing that realistically, and I'm sure some of you would agree with this, I should have done this before. Yes, absolutely. But I did look at the timing belt the first time Nick bought it, and I was kind of satisfied that it wasn't going to break. It wasn't cracked visibly on the top of the belt. When you start to see micro cracking, that's a problem. It will be micro cracked on the ribbing on the underside. But I didn't see anything untoward, and the water pump was okay, not leaking and not making any noises. There are a few things that can go wrong here. Obviously, people can leave the timing belt for too long and the water pump for too long, and you'll get a water pump bearing noise, which is a screeching sound constantly, and it may leak some water. And there'll be a few things that I'm going to show you today where you could sort of tell some of the signs that things are going wrong. I don't know when the last time this timing belt was changed on George. It will have had its second. Every Mark 1 will have had its second timing belt changed, petrol, diesel. As simple as that. So we are on the third one, so it may not be as difficult as the first time, because the last time would have been when the original belt came off and that crank position bolt, pulley bolt, I should say, position bolt, pulley bolt, see, in the morning, will be disturbed for the first time, and they are absolutely horrible. They are really, really horrible. Luckily, the first timing belt I had done on 50 Shades, which was when the car was 13 years old, overdue, but it was okay. And they whacked it off with an impact gun, and they did a good job. They had to struggle to remove the pulley. It was a bit stiff. There was some minor breakage of the pulley, but not in an area where it causes a problem, because the force needed to pull it away from the sprocket on the crankshaft. Hopefully, this car will not be anything like that, because mine was definitely easier the last time I did it. Pre-YouTube, 3 years ago now, that belt and water pump was done. So again, the rule of thumb is 10 years or 100,000 miles, say Ford. I don't go on that. That is what they used to tell, that was there to impress the fleet buyers. And this engine, by the way, the Sigma was fitted, and it's the same for the Z-Tech, same advice for the Z-Tech, and the diesels, I suspect. The advice was to change it within that time frame, but these engines probably need it done a bit sooner. It was just to impress the fleet buyers, because this engine was fitted to so many of their cars, and quite frankly, it looks good, doesn't it? A long life belt. And to be fair, the original ones prove themselves to be very, very long life, but I've heard of Focuses going on to 16, 17 years of age before the belt snaps, which was quite common years ago. Now we don't hear of timing belt failures, because people look after their Focuses. How interesting how things like that very rarely happen these days. So my advice, and this is something I will apply to 50 Shades. 50 Shades is 3 years in. She's got 5 years left, unless the water pump starts going, and I might have to go in there quickly. 8 years is the advice. Don't bother about mileage. Nobody's going to do, I think very few people now in the community will do 100,000 miles in their Focus within 8 to 10 years, 8 years. Let's say 8 years, for example. So always change it at 8 years, please, and you'll have no problems. So this video is going to be a step-by-step of how to do it as good as I can, and I'm going to rely on good old Nick for the camera work. If I need to show you something specific, I'll probably grab the camera myself with plenty of torches, because it is simple, but you need to know what you're doing. You really do, because you have to understand how an engine rotates and what marks you need to line up. Those who have done it will say it is easy. I agree, it is easy. The faffy bit is taking the rocker cover off, because you have to put a cam bar in. I'll explain in a second. Anyway, let's get out there. Right, come on then, George. We have taken the wheel off the car, because you're going to need to get access in here. Okay, you don't need to remove all this. This can remain here, but we need to remove that shield in a second. We have jacked up the engine, okay, with a suitable jack. Hello, Nick. It's too hot, isn't it? Once again,
no, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that. Just
not that bad.
Tired after yesterday. Yeah. Yes, I explained that it's the day after, but for the viewers, it might be a few weeks. But anyway, mate, the most important job of the day, of all of what we've done, because what we've done is fantastic, but it makes absolutely no sense unless we've got a good belt, because that prolongs the engine's life and it guarantees longevity, and an engine rebuild, put it that way, or a different engine. So what we have here today, guys, is a few bits. So the first note is this crankshaft pulley, this water pump pulley is scored and rusty. I don't like it. So you had a word with Ford and they came up trumps, didn't they, with this?
Yep.
And as we can see here, a brand new Ford. So this is the pulley for the water pump. It fits a number of cars, and by the way, this is a 4-bolt pump. Okay, now I believe some certain Z-Techs are 3 bolts, but 200384 out. I'll remember that for myself, actually, so I'll refer to this video. But if I come in here, we've got 4 new bolts there, just the little bolts that hold it on, and wow, goodness me. Oh my goodness me, look at that. It's brand new. I'll tell you why it's brand new. If I just open it, look at that, it's black all the way around, because obviously where the belt runs, it will make a score mark onto the metal, so you'll end up with this this sort of metal scoring on there. But that is fascinating. That's what it would have looked like probably when it was sitting outside of its factory. Most likely for this, it could have been Saint-Louis or Valencia this was made. I'm not sure which one. I'll look at the chassis number. But it would have been sitting there on the side of the road with a nice water pump pulley that is nice and black, but obviously it's going to be worn in.
So from Valencia,
yeah,
will that explain the sand issue?
No, because sand issue. It's been at a bloody beach, this car. No.
Valencia's a beach.
Yeah. Oh.
You never know.
Guys, kill me now. Right, and now we have the Gates Power Grip timing belt kit. Okay, this is the correct one. Okay, we've got a sticker here just for our benefit, but we won't use that. Is that? Oh yeah, so this is the kit for this engine, KO25433XS. Now this is merely the belt and the tensioner. We have not bought a Gates water pump. I don't like them. I've got a Gates water pump fitted to mine. I don't recommend that you fit that, okay? Got a tensioner here, which is spring loaded. It's an automatic tensioner. It's not one of these where you have to line up the tensioner pointer with something on the engine block. It's just, you pull the pin and it's ready to go. Easy. A long life rubber belt as well. Fantastic. And we've got two crankshaft pulley bolts. These will come in the kit. You need to change them. They are stretch bolts. You will need to change them. There are 2 different sizes. I've got a feeling that the longer one we're going to need, but there are 2 different sizes depending on what year. But we'll find out when we take the old one out anyway. Oh yes, well, but we will get it out, hopefully. Hopefully, he says. And we have here Quinton Hazel. Do you know what? I don't mind going for something like this, to be honest with you. Here is the water pump. The water pump gasket is included there. This will be the stressful part of the job because we know about thermostat bolts. What about water pump bolts? Oh dear. We'll find out how good these are. They're very small bolts. We've got a couple of dowels there, and we've got a lovely impeller. It's a metal impeller on these, not like a lot of VW cars that use plastic ones and they break and then suddenly your car's overheating. This hole here, and I'm going to demonstrate this before I fit this. This hole here, okay, if you see any coolant coming out of that hole, you need a new water pump. Your seal, your water pump seal, should stop coolant going into this area, okay? If it's coming out that hole, that is a bleed hole. It is designed to tell you your water pump needs to be changed. So anyway, I'm going to leave that there. We've got some pins, got another one. This, by the way, guys, I've got 3 pins. I'm going to demonstrate which one we're going to be using in a second, and a cam bar, and I've got another pin, but I don't really need that unless necessary, just to pin the tensioner, but we've got one with the tensioner anyway. Anyway, let's get cracking. Firstly, Nick, I'm going to give this to you. Right, first of all, we need to remove the bottle as usual. Take the bolt out and just remove this whole frigging thing on the side. Now, we can decide to drain the coolant, but I recommend not draining the coolant because all you're going to drain is the radiator and the tank. You're not going to drain what's in the block. So whatever's going to come out with the water pump, it's going to come out anyway, regardless of what we do here. Move that out of the way as well. You're going to fight with me today, car. So move the power steering as far as we can over there. I'll deal with that in a second, but we just need to move that as far as we can over there. Okay, now we need to take the engine mount off. We've jacked the engine off. We need to take this off, okay? Now just pull that gently, okay? And yes, for us it seems like 2 seconds ago. There's your bolts, there's your mounting bolts. And then we'll just disconnect the rest of it. That's the first one gone. Lovely. Right, that's the first piece out the way. Okay, that's merely to get access to this area. Now, what we're going to have to do here is take the alternator out yet again. Honestly, how many times? Look, we'll cut back when we're taking this blasted alternator off yet again. It's too much. Right, okay, so now the alternator and the belt have been completely removed. I'll tell you something, Nick, straight away. Sideways movement, you're getting this movement. There's a little bit of bearing play in this pump, but anyway,
I thought it was the other way, but
no, definitely not. Right, next one is this bracket here, and this is the bracket that kind of mounts the engine. We want to take a couple of these bolts out, but I'll take that out in a second. We've got 1, 2, there'll be a third one down here, and 4th where my finger is. There's 4, 2 here, 2 here, 13 mils, and just crack off. There we go. And they never seem to cause a problem. They're just really tight. There we go, done. Gonna have to do some torque settings later on, my friend. And we don't do torque settings on this car. I think we might have to. Right, so we're kind of free here a little bit. We've got all these bolts out. The one's on the floor, lovely. Right, but that won't come off because we've got to take this cover off as well. Okay, I'll get that bolt in a second. There's just one here. All these fiddly little bolts. There's one here that goes through and actually goes into the rocker cover. There we go. There's another one at the back here that you've got to get. You can't see this, but there's one at the back. This timing belt will have, this cover will have a lot of screws to it. Just I'm just going to slacken all these off for the second. That one's actually quite tight. It is coming off very slowly. There's another one just here, so that's the fourth. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's quite easy. Yeah. There's another one, 5. Oh, that's it. No, you can't really see in there, but if I just flash my torch in there, there you go, you can see exactly what I'm doing. 5, and obviously we've got 6 here. But I can't really take that off because we've got to get the water pump pulley off in a second. I'll show you how to do that. There's a very good trick for doing that, but yeah, I'll just whip all these off and try and slacken it in. Right, so we've got this last one coming out now. I can't take that out because the water pump pulley, I don't think, no. Okay, so basically we've got all these bolts here. I'll tell you what, this one is the rustiest one ever, honestly. Sorry about the lighting, but we are having a lot of sun today. All the bolts are roughly the same sort of size, okay? There's a lot of them. There's quite a few to come off, but that is all loose. And this one is the longest, because the longest one goes through into the rocker cover, okay? We are loose, and now this bracket is loose as well. So I'm just gonna put all that there.
With the water pump.
I can't remember which one it was actually. Yeah, because you have to take the whole cover off to take this off. I actually forgot last time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get this off. How do you get this off? Oh, well, it's the old-fashioned technique, really. What you have to do is these bolts are all 8 mils, okay? Now what you have to do, well, actually, are they 10 mils? I can't remember now. Yeah, they are 10 mils. Now, what you have to do is aim to get your ratchet in the direction of, obviously, lefty-loosey. And what you do is you put another spanner across the other 2, okay? Can you see that? And go. Ah, that's it. Done. That's loose. So basically, you're just forcing them apart. So you go to the other ones now. So you get another 10 mil on there. I'll just pop you in. Okay. And then put your other spanner across like that. See what I mean? You just got to hold it steady across. God, this is tight. Oh, that's tight. I'll try and get the other one and I'll come back to that one. Gosh, that is tight. Wow. I mean, difficult. These are tight. Ah, done. That caused a significant amount of pain. This has been on a long time, mate. I've got a feeling of a few things about this engine, including...
Original?
Yep. Yeah, I've got a feeling that, well, it wouldn't be the original belt. There we go.
I don't know.
Oh, that was difficult. But now we can just wind these off. That's the hardest I've had to encounter at the moment. So I'll put these bolts in my little collection since we got brand new ones. Hey, flipping heck.
I guess you don't put copperies on the other ones.
No, you do not. You put these on dry. There we go. Voila. The good thing is, if you've got a water pump leak, I've found they leak right at the end of this shaft here. And they'll leak into the cup here. That's what mine's starting to do. There's just a bit of pink in mine, just leaking out a little bit. But yeah, this is gone. Like, that is so scored and rusty. I've never seen one like that before. Can you see that on the camera? Yeah, it's just so bad. Honestly. Well,
Sure you don't want to put that in your spares?
Absolutely not. I can't. There's no way I can make that look good. I'd have to like machine the surface or something. I wouldn't want to fit that to anybody's car. So now we can get this bolt out here because the pulley's out the way. There's another bolt down here. There's another 8mm. I think it's down. It was where my finger is, mate. It's right underneath the water pump there. Okay. There's another one there. I'll just take that one out. There we go. Because that goes into the water pump as well. Seems to be a current theme with this car all the time. Anything, I'm not joking, anything below your knees on this car and it's like 50-50 whether it snaps.
I'm not exaggerating.
No, we're not exaggerating. And that's no joke, guys. That really is no joke. I mean, have you seen the rust on this bolt here? Wait a minute. Just get the rest of it out. Look at that. Jesus Christ, Nick.
Has it had a water leak in the past?
I think it's had something seriously. Yeah, it's had something happen to it. I'll try and get some better bolts, but ideally. So now we can move the whole thing off. Here we go.
That looks shiny as hell.
I'll tell you what, this belt, no, it's been changed, mate. It's a Dayco belt. Yeah. Now, just gonna move this out the way. Sometimes this comes out with the shield, but there you go. So 2 bolts on the side, 2 bolts here. I'm gonna give this a bit of a clean up and a wire brush before it goes back in. It's gonna be a lot of cleaning today. And this is just being stopped by this blasted earth bolt at the back. Just this cable in the way. There we go. It's not particularly oily there. It's all right. I'll just I'll put that on the side. And right, let's have a look at what we've got here. This belt doesn't look bad, mate. It wouldn't have given up straight away. No, it's all right. It's just a wear mark on there. I tell you what, though, your cam seals are good. There's no leakages down there. It's actually, I'll tell you what, Nick, this is rather dry. I'm really impressed, actually. Brilliant. Right.
Hang on. George has got some good news.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No, absolutely. Now, this is where this engine really does have its advantages. So the tensioner sits here, and obviously the water pump is driven by the stretch belt, the auxiliary belt. It's not driven by the timing belt. Zetec engines are different to Sigmas. They have a water pump driven by the cam belt, and that's why it's important to change the pump with the cam belt, because if the water pump seizes, it takes out your timing belt and it takes out the whole engine. Lovely, fantastic, what a good design feature that was. That is where the Sigma improves on that a lot. You can remove the water pump without actually disturbing the timing belt. There's a bolt just around the corner here underneath the tensioner, one here, another couple down there. It's very feasible, but we're now going to go to the second stage of this, and we're going to go and take the rocker cover gasket off. Now, the rocker cover entirely. Now, we've done this before on this channel. This is going to be a very long episode. You don't have to do it. We've got all the bolts, we've got a few pipes, got to take out these HT leads. We've taken out this bolt. It should be a pretty simple exercise, and then we'll cut back, because my God, we're getting hot, aren't we? Right, rocker cover is now off. That took 5 seconds because all this cover was off, which is what was stopping us last time. I've taken the plug out for the temperature sensor, and it's all looking really good in here, Nick. There's not much wear at all in here. I'm really impressed. Sigmas can go on for stupid, 300, 400 is not unheard of, and it's nice to know nobody has snapped the ends of these cams where people use the locking bar that I'm going to show you now. It is the cam locking bar, which is why you have to take the rocker cover off to do this job. Please do not do this job without these tools. Stop using Tipex. You can't do it properly. There's a risk. Just use these. They're cheap and easy to get hold of. And this bar is going to slot in to some slots in the end of the camshaft, okay? So we're going to have to turn the engine round to do that. But before, we've got a more important job. Since the rocker cover is off, you don't have to have it off. I can actually show you how to do a job, which is really important. So in the middle here, on a Sigma, you will have a cylinder head temperature sensor. Yes, not a coolant temperature sensor. It monitors the temperature of the cylinder head. There is no coolant sensor on this engine. There's nothing stuck in the waterways just to monitor, or the thermostat housing in particular to monitor the temperature of the coolant. This has a temperature sensor for the cylinder head, and the ECU will monitor that, and it will adjust the fueling. It is actually one of these items that people never assume would ever affect your fuel economy, starting, running. People don't change them, and we have a brand new one from Cambiari. It is VE375042, and it is a completely brand new sensor here. Just open the packet. We are going to change this now as a matter of course, because old temperature sensors may not read fully. You may know if you're having problems with one because it won't work properly. If I get my, no, it's actually, I think it's actually, oh yeah, it is a 19. Just managed to snugly fit it down. It is a 19. There we go, make sure it's true, and there we go. Oh, how easy was that? I just put my tool back on. Shouldn't be stiff at all. Now, it's interesting. Is this the original? This is an interesting one, because mine certainly wasn't. Mine had been replaced at 11 years old. Yeah, this is the original. Yeah, it's got a bit of Loctite here. All the originals have Loctite. Brilliant. Well, that will go in your spares, but to be honest, I wouldn't really want to reuse it after this age. It is exactly the same, and I'm just going to pop the new one in. Pop it in nice and dry, please, and just nip it up. That will make sure, Nick, that your ECU is getting the correct reading. This does not control the temperature gauge in your car. The ECU does that. The ECU tells you what it wants you to know about your the temperature of your car and what it's doing. This temperature sensor, just tighten it in. There we go. Bit stiff. There we go. No more than that, please. Yeah, no more than that. Fantastic. And that's all you need to know for that sensor. So this one is going to be in the spares, and you're going to have accurate temperature readings, and maybe even more accurate than before. They can be a bit off. It might be a few degrees more out, depending on how old they are and how inaccurate they get. But anyway, that's a quick job. Always do this sort of job when you get a chance. Now we're in a position to take this under tray off. It's only a couple of bolts holding this lower tray on. I think they're 10 mils, and then we can start getting the timing in place for top dead center. All right, so we're just, excuse the lighting, we've got a bit of bad lighting here. We've got 3 8mm bolts. Didn't realise they were so small, and thank God these are all coming out. Lovely. There we go.
Surprising, really.
This is very surprising. Now, the thing with a Sigma is that there are no markings on the crankshaft pulley. There's no actual top dead center marking, no markings on the plastic shroud. It's all done with these things, pins and a bar, okay? This bar, as I say, slots into the end of the camshaft, very tightly, I will say so. Sometimes they don't always go in. But for this application, there's 3 different pins. This is a kit that you can buy for Ford engines of this age, Ford petrol engine timing belt kits, they're called. Now this one, I believe is for diesel. This might be for Zetec. This is the one you need if you've got a Sigma, okay? That's the one we need. We need the correct length of locking pin, okay? It's a timing pin. And what will happen is this pin goes at the back of the crankshaft into the block, and the crankshaft will butt against that pin. And when it's butted up, the crankshaft is in the right place. And usually you should be able to get that in, but for a few different reasons, you might not be able to. You can't go wrong. You need to use this pin kit. I'm now going to show you where to insert it. We have a little bolt here. Now I've just slackened that off with a 10mm. Take it out. This is a bolt with just a washer on it to protect the block, for just to stop the oil getting out, basically, because it goes straight into the crank. And what you do is you put this pin straight in, finger tight. Just finger tight, please. No more than that. It will screw in very, very nicely. Just okay. Just finger tight. Okay. You don't need to do it an excessive amount. Okay. Just until it stops. Okay. Lovely. Now it's possible it hasn't gone all the way in there, so the crank might be stopping it. But now we need to rotate this crankshaft. Okay, so what we need to do is get your 18mm and rotate the engine. Oh, that's gone. A minute, let me just back that off. Oh, yeah, that's locked solid. You see that? That now has locked against the pin. Right, what I've done, I just had to adjust that then. What I've had to do is put an 18mm on the crankshaft pulley so I could just get that pin in. Now, if that pin, like you see, it was like that. That's because I did it on the first compression cycle. There's two, obviously. So just turn the crank until you can get that pin nice and flush with the block. There you go. You can clearly see that. And now, Nick, I'm just going to hand you the camera. Yeah. We could just rotate the engine until it hits the pin. Oh, did you hear that? Yeah, now that has hit the pin. Lovely, fantastic, perfect. And we are level. Okay, right. So now we can see these notches here. And I believe, with a bit of assistance, this cam bar might be able to fit in. Ooh, it's a bit of a funny one, this. Not quite lined in. Now this is the thing. This is fractionally out, fractionally. I mean, it's only just, by the way, guys, this will only go in one way because these cams are offset, so you only get the bar in one way, and we are in the correct orientation because we've hit the pin. That's fine. The pin has to be flush with the block, and the crank has to hit the pin like you just heard. It doesn't quite go in. So what this suggests, Nick, is that this timing belt has stretched a little bit because the timing isn't quite what it should be at the top. You should be able to get that bar in, but that's okay because obviously the belt may have stretched a fraction to the point where this doesn't quite line up. So the crank and the cam isn't quite timed up to perfection. You might find you might get a fraction of a performance out of this. Believe you me, you only have to get this a tiny bit wrong for the performance to be off. So you must make sure that it goes in. But the truth is, at the moment, you see, it goes in. See, it goes in like that. See, it goes into one, but it doesn't quite. It's gone into there, but it hasn't quite gone into there. You mean you could? Yeah, see, it's got. Oh, hold on. Well, it's gone kind of into one, but it hasn't gone into the other. There you go. See, it's kind of going in, but not quite. So I won't worry too much about that. We're in the safe position. Now, the other way of doing this really is just by making sure that you can put a screwdriver into number one, and once the screwdriver's risen, it's the number one piston. The number one has to be at top dead centre. That's what we call top dead centre.
That's what I've seen people do.
The number one piston is at the highest point of its stroke. You can use a screwdriver method, but you really don't need to worry too much, to be honest with you. Anyhow, right, now we are in the safe position. We can do the dreaded job of getting this crankshaft pulley bolt off. This is the hardest part of the job. Right, now we've come to this infernal crankshaft pulley. Now, this is the number one reason why a lot of people give up this job, but simply they are very tight. They are very tight and they get gummed up over time. There's a top tip. If you've got a manual, like most people, just to loosen it, get somebody in the car, first gear, foot on the brake, and you're basically whizzing it off the opposite way. That's the top tip there. I have my heat induction tool. I know not many people have got one of these. A lot of garages have these for a reason. It's a mini it's a cheap Chinese version, but it's okay for light use, I reckon, and I've used it a few times now to really good success. It just uses an induction eddy current to heat what is ever between these rings, okay, which will be that. In fact, you'll be using it and you'll think, goodness me, I can't even feel any heat. No, and that's the advantage. This is a safe method of heating a fastener and shocking it free, rather than a blowtorch. You can use a blowtorch. I've done it with this before. I've used a blowtorch and these buggers. I'll probably use a heat induction with something like these because these lock nut C's. But in an area with fuel, you don't want that. This is a much safer method of doing it and just as effective. Penetrating spray, I have been doing that a lot recently, and we have some shock spray. But I'll tell you something, I'm still going to use this after all this. Because after using all these tools, I'll still go in. You need to have as many weapons to get that bolt off. It's the tightest bolt on the car, I think. Some of them come out nicely, some of them don't. This gun I bought for £400 4 years ago because this was the only thing stopping me from doing this job. Because mine's an automatic, I have no way of doing gears and locking it in. I have to take the starter motor out and put a locking tool in. That's what you have to do on the automatic. Starter motor out and a flywheel locking tool, and therefore you can take the bolt out with ease, hopefully he says. You do not use the pin here. You have to take that out. We'll take that out in a second. And you do not use that bar to lock the end of the cams in order to get it off. They are timing locks. They are not for taking the bolt off. I have seen, and it was on Jazabella's cams at the end was shattered because somebody had used the bar to lock the engine to take the bolt out. You will bend that pin and the pin will go into the sump and you have to take it out because you don't want it there, and the bar will snap the camshaft. Lovely, the end of it. You won't need new ones, but it will mean timing it is very hard in the future. So I'm glad the person who did this did it the right way, very, very obviously. So please, just a reminder there, but we're going to go in and get this baby ramped up. Yeah, she's smoking. She's smoking. Good, good, good. Some of it could be excess oil that I've just poured into there. Some people put Loctite in these blimmin' bolts. You don't do that. No, no, no. That's a garage trying to do a safety measure to prevent the bolt coming loose. I'll show you a few tips on how you can do that, to be honest. Okay, that is really off. I think I've built, as I say, these coils, you can burn them quite easily, but they're very cheap to buy in a set, so I've used quite a few of them. Well, I haven't bought any more, but that bolt will be really nice. Look at that. That bolt was a bit rusty earlier, and now it's nice and clean. The heat has shrank it. Now we need to get in there. It's contracting, but we need to go in with the free spray. There we go. Lovely. Okay, let that stew for a little bit. Nice special lubricating spray. Lovely. Right, Nick.
Yep.
Can you put your foot on the brake? First gear. Squeaky bum time. Yeah. Yeah. Out it comes. Lovely as you like. That is blooming hot. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Straight out, mate. Oh, that's hot. Woo-hoo-hoo. Do not touch that. I make the mistake every time. I'm getting straight stuck in there. No Loctite on this. That's why it's come out. And oh my goodness, it's the shorter one, Nick. It's not the long one. I'll just show you that in a second. But now, potentially, this pulley will be tight. I'll have to get a pry bar in to get that off, actually. I have used these tools in the past. I'll just come on behind. Give it a wiggle. It might be a bit stuck on this pulley, so you might need to give it a bit of a whack just to get that out. You might need to put some more thread, so just to get in that thread. I'll come back to that in a second and just let that go. But yeah, that's what it takes, and that was easy. I've had harder ones, but there are two types of bolts, and strangely, Nick, your car's got a shorter bolt. I swear that my car used the longer bolt. Maybe it's for the automatic versions, but yours definitely uses a shorter bolt. There is a specific torque setting for whatever bolt you're using, but that's going to go over there. It's going to be thrown away, and we know that we're going to be using that. Lovely. Right, I'm just going to bash that off. Oh, come on. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Lovely. Out we come. Whew. Okay. As you can see, guys, on these engines, no keyway. It is all done with pins. Yes, whoever invented the keyless, where we can see here, mate, we've got cracking all around the rubber. It is hot, this damper. I'm going to have to put it down. But there is cracking all around this harmonic damper. Ideally, this needs to be changed, but it's okay. I think we can resurrect it. We'll make it look good, put a bit of paint on it, and obviously try not to get paint there. And obviously we've got the freewheeling sprocket there. So, yeah, and now we could, yeah, that's fine. That's just, that's nice and clean. Now we can take these three, I believe 8mm bolts out and get this shield out the way. Oh, that's loose. There's another one up there I've got to tend to. And I'm just on an extension. Always try and use a long 8mm for this sort of job. I'll just put that in there. Got these a stiff neck, as usual. There we go. All done. Right, just take that one out. And that one. It's just a little shield that goes over the sprockets. I'll just take that away. Goodness me, Nick.
So
It's welded on this, is. Usually falls off.
is it part of the engine?
No. Honestly, it's like this thing is welded to the... Oh, blimey. There we go. Goodness me. What a pain that is. I've never known one to stick. This seal is absolutely... Bleh. Horrible job. This heat's building up as well. We know what happens when it gets hot. Well, hopefully you can see this. Now we've got to take the tension off. Obviously we've got a free floating sprocket, but we need to release it. Now what you need is a small drill bit, probably a 7 or 8 drill bit. And what you do, Nick, if you can show people, okay, we've got a little tang there. You push it down. It's a little pointer, okay. What you do, you push this pointer down and you line this pin through a little hole. There's a little hole here. In fact, if I get my other torch, I can show you. I want to be careful of that. I want you to see what I'm doing. Right. So in here, we've got a little gap where we put the pin in. So we get the pointer and move it this way. You see that? The tension's coming off. What you do, put the pin in. There we go. It's gone. That's gone in now. Now that belt is all slack. Okay, now we are able to take the belt out. Goodness me, that is really, it's still a bit funny, but we'll take it around the tensioner and off it goes. Lovely. Okay, this is the test, mate. Oh my goodness me! And if you can see that, it's really difficult with this light. That's cracking. There's cracking all in there. It's not the worst, but look at this. Blimey. Yeah, this has done its time. I think this has been on the car 10 years, my friend. And more or less, if we compare it to the new one,
The size.
I think it might have stretched a fraction. You're joking. Look at that. Look at this. Look at the difference between the two. Yeah, that would have put your timing out. This is what people say. Your timing can go out. After 10 years of that, your timing is going to go out. So, well done, honestly. Right, now we just take the tension off. So, just pip it up. Take the pin out. Ooh, take the drill bit out. And then, underneath, we've got a 30mm nut holding the tensioner on. Okay, just layer it this way. There we go. Oh, it's not tight. It's not particularly tight. Again, there's another torque setting to do the tensioner bolt. And there is just another bolt underneath here, just another one. There we go. Oh, come on. I swear there was only one bolt from my memory, but maybe there was two. But there you go, lovely. And it just sits against the block in this area here. We've got one bolt there and one bolt that goes in there. It just sits against the water pump. And you don't really need to have it, but I'm just going to put those bolts back in there. It is a Dayco one, mate. It is a Dayco, so it was changed. So no issues there. That's going to go in the bin. And now we got the water pump. Yes, this is the nervous bit for Nick. Now I'm going to use my small ratchet here. My 8mm with my 1/4 inch, so I can feel what's going on. Got a bolt here, got a bolt down here, 3, 4, 5, 6 where my finger is that you can't see. Let's go for the knit one to the nearest. Lovely, mate, lovely. I have put these in penetrating oil. I've not at this moment I've not encountered a water pump that will, you know, I think these are much more high quality than the thermostat housing bolts. They're actually a bit bigger, I reckon. I can't remember what thread they are. I think they're an M7, M8 or something like that. But there we go. There we go. Oh. Warm coolant. There's no point in draining the radiator because this would still come out because this is all the stuff stuck in the block. Because the thermostat will basically separate the engine block from the radiator. Now there is one bolt that I haven't quite got to. It's underneath here, and I'm just trying to feel my way forward just to get the socket on. Got that last bolt out. Goodness me. Oh my god, what the heck? Plastic impellers? No, I've never seen this on a Mark 1. This is terrible aftermarket. Well, I've got to say, mate, luckily none of these impellers, they're plastic. That's not what you want. That is appalling. In fact,
it's a Ford one.
You're joking. It's a Ford one. No. As far as I'm concerned, the Ford ones are metal. Look at this. They've never changed the water pump.
Why not?
The person who... So this is the original. This must be the original. The person who had the timing belt done, they only changed the timing belt and tension. They skimped on the water pump.
The vital part.
Pretty much. And that's possibly your water... That's why I feel play in that. That's done 158,000 miles. I mean, these original pumps are good, but no way. I've seen the standard of genuine pumps, and they're metal. I wonder whether there was a time where they were using plastic ones. That's something that I've learned.
Where's the seal?
The seal's in there. But have any of you guys seen a plastic impeller on a Mark 1 water pump? I'm sure maybe one or two of you have now discovered this, but the gasket is firmly attached.
Very flat.
Yeah, very flat. But the great thing is it hasn't left any remnants, so it's easy to clean. But this is your waterway. And actually, Nick, it looks really clean.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, it does look really, really clean in there, mate. So I'm really pleased about that. So, and obviously you've got the oil pump. Now the oil pump, I'll just take the sprocket off. It's a free floating sprocket. Okay. That's just a free floating sprocket. We'll get that cleaned up in a bit, just on the crankshaft. But there's no leaks. Check for massive amounts of oil down here because it indicates that your front crank seal's leaking, which is here. You can take it out with a pick and then just tap a new one in, but as I say, this one's not leaking, so fantastic. Nick, it's looking good. We just need to clean this area up with lots of brake cleaner. The engine's nice and safe in a good position. This water pump is going in the bin. Of shame, 100%. I mean, I'm amazed that none of that's broken, to be honest. But yes, you'll definitely get some benefits over a metal one, yes, not a plastic one.
Faster rotation?
Absolutely, potentially, but there's no risk of them getting brittle and breaking. To be fair, that's high quality, that is, but VW ones are dreadful. I had a friend with a Passat, and the engine just kept on overheating. Turns out the bloody impellers were all cracked and missing. But this is going to have to be cleaned as well, this free floating sprocket. This goes in the pile to be cleaned. Nick, your homework is building up. And this is the bin of shame, and we are going to catch up with you guys in 2 hours for us. A break in cleaning. Shame.